Ganapatiṃ Havamahe Kaviṃ Kavīnāmupamasravastamam Jyeshtharājam Brahmanām Brahmanaspatānaः Śrṇvannōtiभिः Sīdasadanam. Om Shri Mahaganathipataye Namaha. Om Vrishabham Darshanīnām Vishvarūpamadābhyam Brahaspatim Varenyam. Om Tadvishno Paramam Padam Sada Pashyanti Suraya Divi Vachakshuratatam. Om Aim Hrim Shrim Klim Haso Jagatprasutye Namah. Everybody say after me Hare Rama Krishna 3 times. Om Hare Rama Krishna Hare Rama Krishna Hare Rama Krishna. As you may have figured out by now, my throat is bad. I have a cold. So today Narayan will be teaching instead of me. He is also a Jyotish Guru in Jagannatha Center.
In power of consciousness is separate like that.
Yeah, it is fine. So today Narayan will be teaching, and one thing before I forget is, next week there will not be any class because I will be in Pennsylvania. There is a place called Ashtavarga Gurukulam in Salisbury, Pennsylvania, and they have an astrology seminar, and I will be teaching something there on Saturday and Sunday, actually whole of Sunday and part of Saturday. So I will be away in Pennsylvania, so there is no class next week. So we'll meet the week after that.
Is it something we can go to the conference or?
Pardon me?
Is it something we can join the conference? Is it useful?
It is in Pennsylvania. If you can, you can. But they have a certain fee. It's basically Ashtakavarga Gurukulam handles it. I don't handle it. If you are interested, I can send you the contact details.
Okay.
But I will eventually, whatever I teach there, you guys will eventually learn here also. Okay. But you are most welcome to come if you are interested. Okay, Narayan. Narayan, Ayya. All right. Hello, everybody. Thanks to Narasimha for giving me the opportunity to teach. And I was thinking for quite some time that since you guys have done a lot of Narayan Dasa and all that, it's about time I gave some introduction to, Jaimini Upadesha Sutras. Typically, usually you'll refer to students and enthusiasts, refer to his teaching as Jaimini Astrology, because he kind of specializes in Arudas and some other aspects. But nevertheless, these things have been taught by Parasara, as Narasimha must have emphasized. Yes. So the thing to keep in mind is, these things have been discussed by Parasara. It seems that he might be one of his students who delve deep into this aspect of astrology. And so he wrote a treatise which is known as Upadesha Sutras. It's called the Sutras because they are codified. It's in a very terse form. It's very cryptic, and the Sanskrit slokas of the stanzas that are given are not to be read as it is and interpreted. These are codified in a numerical format. So it's like the ancient days, it's not like encryption is a modern day phenomenon. Jaimini used it long time back. It's like a WinZip kind of thing. It's encryption and compression together.
Okay. It's a dangerous combination.
Yes.
Nowhere there will be lack of signal. And
So-
all interpretation is left to that personal being.
Right. So the thing is, before we start, I'll just give a brief overview of what his encryption format is. what he did was he took the letters of the Sanskrit alphabets, k, 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 and assigned them numbers from 0 to 10. And for example, and then what happens is you break the word based on the syllable and then divide by 12.
Okay.
And then you get the remainder. Whatever the remainder is what he is directly hinting about. Like for example, the word labha, la and bha. Labha is usually 11th house. But actually, if you take the format, the numeric format that he uses, it is called Katapayadi Varga. It is ka, ta, pa, ya, ka, ta, pa, ya, and adi vargas. So that's it, Katapayadi Vargas. So la is 3 and bha is 4. So you join 3 and 4. Yeah, you get 3 and 4 is 34. So
Divided by 12.
divide by 12.
Okay.
4 and 3. You have to take the reverse.
In old days, they used to write numbers from the other way.
Okay.
So it is 43. Thank you. So it is 43, and you divide by 12, you get a remainder of 7.
7.
So he is talking about the 7th house. So if you labha
means 7th house.
yes,
Okay.
yeah. So he basically, that's how he encrypts his information.
So divide by 3.
Divide by 12.
Divide by 1.
So you take labha. La is 3, bha is 4. In the ancient days, they used to reverse the writing. So it is 43. You take 34 and the reverse is 43.
Okay.
So 43 divided by 12,
Okay.
the remainder is 7.
Okay.
So 7. So he is talking about the 7th house.
Let me just add one thought there. The way we write numbers now, we actually write everything from right to left in the English language. If you talk about Arabic languages, it's the opposite.
Correct.
But in English language, we write everything from the left to the right. But when you add numbers, if you have, for example, 493 plus 744, we start from the right and right to the left.
The
So
unit.
there is an inconsistency. We are using the Arabic convention for writing the numbers. In old India, they used to write the ones place first, then tens place, then hundreds place. So basically when you add, then also you are going from right to left. Always you go from right to left. So that was the convention. That is why 3 and 4 is actually 43. 3 is ones place and 4 is tens place.
So that is, so this is a very peculiar feature, and this has to be understood.
And this is the word by word or by the
No,
sentence?
word by word. He breaks everything into word and then
Just like you take each sutra, each Sanskrit sloka is written. Take the word,
individual words.
and then you take the number,
Right,
take the remainder.
right. But then
Modulus.
the thing is, not everything is codified or
Some words
encrypted.
are codified and some words are not.
Yeah, it is for the experts. It's easy for them to decipher which one it is and which one it is not. That's why it is important to have a dual.
Now why was it made so cryptic?
Because when he is talking about a particular house or particular characteristics or important attribute, then he codifies it. But normal sentences have got a lot of stuff that you have to put in to make a sentence, right? So that he has not codified.
I understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The idea is to propagate the knowledge and disseminate the knowledge.
Right.
Why would you codify
But
that?
at his time the idea was to keep the knowledge safe from idiots.
Right.
Safe from people who would abuse it at his time. Now, at today's time, the knowledge is to retrieve it.
Now that the knowledge becomes a lot more scanty. It has been plentiful then, more people were involved in it, and more people were using it.
Yeah.
The idea?
Yeah. And maybe he also, even at that time there might be some people misusing it. So just to keep away from those people, and just to make sure that only the hardworking and the intellectual people get to it, rather than
The good intentioned people. Bad intentioned.
right. But then in that case, this requires the direction of a guidance of a guru,
to pass on through something.
Yeah.
You're talking about Jaimini Sutras, and Jaimini came, he is a disciple of Parasara who came after.
Jaimini came after Parasara.
And
But it's hard to be Samkalina, contemporary.
contemporary. But most of his teachings are what we felt before, what we said is most of what Jaimini has taught has already been taught by.
He delved deeper into some parts of Parasara's teaching.
And Parasara's teachings, if you see from BPHs, they are not codified.
No.
So when there is already things which are not codified, that means he has taken some aspects codified and given
Some aspects he went so deep into them that he did not want everybody to understand them.
So, and as is with many other books, there are many translations of this book. Iranganti Rangacharya and P.S. Sastri. These are some really learned Nilakantha.
He's the original commentator, great commentator.
These people have, these erudite, learned scholars have rendered a translation of this treatise. However, I am going by what Mr. Sanjay Rath, his version, and whatever his translation, his thoughts that have gone into it, because he's also my teacher, and so I've learned a lot from him. So I am going by this book. Please feel free to refer to any other book. But this is a very interesting and an important book. I would recommend highly to buy it.
Actually, can I get a list of books because I'm going to be in India next week?
Right.
I'd like to go pick up
Sure.
a list of books. And, maybe we have a library for the whole class.
Okay. So going back to the book, first is the Ashtakavarga, and then he starts describing about the sign aspects and everything. But one of the key things that I want to at least touch upon today, or at least start today, is how the Navamsa is used to understand the characteristics of a person. The Navamsa is also known as Dharmamsa. Apart from marriage, it is also used to understand the potential, the characteristics of a person, something that stands out. And I read a small paragraph to this effect, which Sanjay ji wrote long time back, but it's something like this. When the Pandavas, they won over Hastinaputra and they were ruling, and at the end they decided, I think we've ruled justly and all that, and it's time to retire.
Yeah.
So all the five brothers, they gave up everything, they renounced everything, and they crowned their successor, and they went on a trek to Himalayas.
Yeah.
So,
Sargarohana Parva.
I beg your pardon?
It's called Sargarohana Parva.
Yes, fantastic. So, yeah, so on their way, they were trying to walk on a cliff and all that, and suddenly one by one, one of these brothers, they start falling. Yes, like Nakula starts falling, and everybody, looks up to Yudhishthira, saying, what exactly is the reason, why did he fall? So he gives a reason, Nakula was supposed to be a good-looking guy or something, so he says that he was too proud, and that was one of the reasons. Then Sahadeva falls. He was supposed to be a very smart guy, so he was too proud of his knowledge. So everybody falls. So ultimately, only Yudhishthira reaches that place. And also there is a dog.
Dog with him.
Yeah, dog. I don't know what the significance of the dog is, but the point is,
if you want, I can tell the
yes, please.
remaining part of it.
No,
What
the
the
dog.
thing.
Yeah.
What is
At the final place, when Indra, they came and they say that, okay, you are the awardment of Dharma,
Yeah.
and you need to go to heaven, so we are here to take you. At that time, Dharmaraj says, no, not only me, even this dog, which is coming from Hastinapura, all my brothers who have done so many things have all fallen. This dog hasn't fallen. That means it also had done equal dharma like me. So this also deserves to go to heaven. Then the dog becomes Yamadharmaraja, and he says, I'm just testing you, son, how whether you will at any time will forget about not doing dharma. Then he gives blessing. That's it.
Okay.
Astrologically, Yama is associated with Saturn.
Saturn.
Yama and Prajapati are the Adhyavata and Pratyadhyavata for Saturn when you are doing puja, when you are doing Navadra puja. So, and Yama is also Saturn's brother. He was his Ankraja. So, his elder brother. So, basically, Saturn symbolizes, dogs are shown by Saturn. If you look at various animals that are shown by various planets, for dogs it is Saturn. So that is why it is dog. And it shows discipline, sincerity, etc. All the qualities of Saturn, which are shown by Yamadharmaraja and also by dog. There is a lot of symbology there.
So if Saturn's association with dharma is so strong, where it's supposed to, but when it sits in 9th house, you see, it causes suspicion about religion, dharma and all that stuff. Why do you say that?
It's not. Saturn is not dharma. I never said Saturn shows dharma. Saturn shows discipline, passionately following what you think is your dharma. And if Saturn is in the 9th house, so that person, by being suspicious, is not being adharmic. He wants to be absolutely sure of what his dharma is. That is why he is suspicious. It shows a very diligent and disciplined path. You are very disciplined, you follow the rules. And if you don't understand what is your dharma, you have to ask questions and find out. That is your dharma. That is the basic dharma.
So
that shows the slow and steady path. That is what Saturn shows.
Although actually Yamadharmaraja is, as you said, one of the Yamadharmaraja and he keeps dharma. They are associated with him, but Saturn still doesn't understand them. He has questions and all that.
Right. But once he understands, he fulfills it. Even if it means a long pursuit, he will just do it.
The tenacity.
Tenacity. Saturn shows tenacity. And that's what dogs represent.
So going back to our so as you understand, it was only Yudhishthira or Dharmaraja who was able to go to the heavens. So the point I'm trying to make is it is dharma that is carried from the past life to the present life. So that's why Navamsa is so important. It also carries the punya or the good deeds, whatever you of the past life forward. That also the good deeds also involve whatever potential you might have had in your past life. Like for example, you might find like Mozart started playing whatever or writing songs at the age of 3. How can you do that? I mean, it's impossible unless he has done it before. That comes very easily to him. So these are the things that it carries, and so hence Navamsa is very important. And one of the things that you look into Navamsa is the potential you have, or the characteristics, or So I think in the very first chapter, quarter 2 itself, Jaimini starts talking about what different planets do, or what does it indicate. This is very important. We'll go step by step as to what he says, but this is very important, especially if you want to understand the characteristic of a person, what potential he has, and like for example, if he's an artist, then you should be able to see an influence of certain planets either on the Navamsa Lagna or on the trines to the Navamsa Lagna. So
I have one small question.
Sure.
How is our software incorporate these things, Jaimini Sutras or anywhere?
No, you just have to see. If we say sun is in trines, you have to.
Okay. There is no difference, right?
No. Like okay, let's start with the very first stanza. It says, "The sun in Swamsa makes the native a keen government, political worker, and good at social service." So, sun represents government, the king, the authority. Sun, so anybody having an influence of sun on their Navamsa Lagna, the influence meaning either it should be on the Navamsa Lagna,
Or
aspecting, or on the trines to the Navamsa Lagna. Here he has used Swamsa very, interchangeably. But when you're looking at your physical or your characteristics, it is something that will manifest and all that from Navamsa Lagna. If it is in trines to your Atma Karaka, that is Karakamsa, the position of Atma Karaka and Navamsa, then it shows the yearning your soul has, that which your soul desires. So, like for example, if anybody, anybody who's good at politics or is a big politician, the tremendous chances that he will have the influence of Sun on his Navamsa Lagna, or it should be in trines to Navamsa Lagna.
I just want to add one thought there.
Right.
Not necessarily politics. Not all politicians are likely to have Sun in their trine to Navamsa Lagna, because Navamsa Lagna and trines show abilities of a person. So if Sun is there, whether the person is politician or not, he is good at administration. He has administrative ability. Some politicians have it, some politicians don't have it. And some non-politicians may have excellent administrative ability. But this is how you see the administrative ability.
The Sun overall shows administrative ability.
Yeah. Sun gives administration, and then like Venus can give management, managerial abilities. So this is how you, this is like one example. Similarly, he says that Moon and Venus give all luxuries of life.
He said Venus gives
Management. Yes.
managerial capability.
Yes.
Sun gives administration.
Right.
So what, in your definition, is the difference between both?
Sun is the difference between administration and management. When you administer something, you basically you're dividing things into parts and then delegating it. A manager comes below an administrator.
It's micromanagement. Venus is a micromanager.
Like a CEO and a manager.
Yes.
See, the thing with Venus,
Administrator is not like CEO and
the interesting thing with Venus is, who does he rule over? The demon. He's the teacher of demon. So when he tells, hey, you demon, you do this. You demon, you do this. He doesn't have full concept because of the demon. He has to constantly look over them and make sure that things are happening.
Continuous. So it's kind of one is a
This
visually
is
and overall
monitoring,
production.
basically dividing the work, monitoring, making sure that everything is going right. So this is like a project manager who does micromanagement. Whereas Sunny is like a king. You do this, from now onwards, I don't care.
Yeah, I want to.
You are in charge.
I assign it to you.
So
referring to something like Swamsa in between. What is that? That is Swamsa means Lagna.
Swamsa he has used interchangeably.
Okay.
He has sometimes used it as the position of Atmakaraka and Navamsa, which is known as Karakamsa
Okay.
or Karakamsa, or he's also used it as Lagnamsa, or the position of your Navamsa Lagna.
Swa means self.
Self.
This is basically Navamsa of self.
Self.
What does self mean? Can mean Lagna, can mean Atmakaraka. That is also self.
Right.
Okay. So it can be both, but mostly it is Lagna. Okay.
Because Lagna, as you said, is the current influence on the intelligence of the
Right.
Atma is the desire of the Atma.
Yeah.
Influence on the Atma.
So the stanza 2 states that the aspect of full moon and Venus gives all luxuries, and an educationist is produced. So whenever you see a chart of an educationist, like a teacher or who's involved in education, moon and Venus are important. Also, moon and Venus, especially a strong moon, a full moon, and Venus, they also show a lot of luxuries and opulence. It is one of the Dhana
You talk
Yoga.
about dharmams, how will the opulence apply? Because you talk about one's abilities.
Well, this is just one thing. The abilities is just one thing. As a result of the past good deeds you have done, many things may show up, good or bad deeds. Deeds one has done. Many things is indicated in the Navamsa.
If you look at the Navamsa, it's a blessing that he is blessed with luxury.
Yes.
Navamsa is basically blessings. Like you said, Dharma Rakshata Rakshita. Whatever Dharma you follow, either in past life or current life, that saves you. That is your blessing. So the abilities that I have, I may be a good speaker, I may be a good teacher, I may be a good organizer. So these abilities come to me as a blessing. So it shows abilities, it shows various other blessings that you have in life.
Another stanza states that Mars gives good Mars in trines or aspecting the Navamsa Lagna gives good knowledge about metallurgy or warfare. Similarly, Mars, as it is easy to guess, will also give a hot-headed person, short-tempered, yes, aggressive, assertive personality. Then he talks about Mercury. Mercury in trines or in Swamsa can make one a good businessman. So Mercury makes one a good businessman, gives skills in trading, and as is common sense, he'll be a good student also, because Mercury represents students, and so as a result he'll be a good student and he'll learn things, grasp things fast. Then Jupiter in Swamsa makes one a karma yogi, or one who has wide knowledge about various branches of knowledge about everything, but a specialization in one. So Mercury, a good businessman, trader, a student. Jupiter, is somebody who is very knowledgeable, philosophical, a karma yogi.
And also wise.
Wise.
And also
These are all positions in the ascendant in the Navamsa, right?
Ascendant or in trines.
In trines.
Or Rasi aspect on the Navamsa Lagna.
Okay. Now, square aspects would be the opposite, right?
What is square aspect?
Quadrants. Yeah, quadrants.
Yeah, but the quadrants are aspecting each other if it's a dual sign. So if your Navamsa Lagna falls in a dual sign, they'll be aspecting each other.
And he's asking about the first, fourth, seventh, and 10th house.
Yeah.
No. It's only Rashi Drishti.
Okay.
Yeah. Because Rashi shows that which will manifest.
Yes.
Whereas Graha Drishti will just show that you have a desire. That's it.
My turn. Sorry, guys.
You want to get it?
Okay. All right. Next we go into Venus, and he says that Venus in Swamsa indicates a government or political official. So Venus also gives influence of politics, a government official, and he also adds that he is somebody who is virile and lives up to 100 years. That is very obvious. Venus, also known as Shukra, is another word for sperm. So he is very virile and lives up to 100 years. Why 100 years? Why do you think Venus gives the blessing to live up to 100 years?
Because it's the last dasha. It's the last.
No. Why is it the last dasha?
When the dashas unfold, sometimes Venus and Mercury are the last ones.
Right. That may be the case. That's not all the time, right? So Venus. See, one of the things is Venus has blessings of Mrityunjaya.
Okay.
Mrityunjaya mantra is basically what Shiva taught Shukra. And Mrityunjaya is usually a blessing longevity. Confers longevity. And in fact, that Dwadas Jyotirlinga, or the 12 forms of Jyotirlinga, one of them is at Trayambakeshwara. Yeah, which is in zodiac, it is represented by Pisces, where Venus exalts. So hence the connection of Venus and longevity. Then here is an interesting sloka. It says Saturn in Swamsa or aspect in Swamsa gives success in any line of activities and consequential fame. Explain why.
Hardworking,
Disciplined work.
There is no substitute for hard work. Any like even great eminent scientists have said that. First of all, Einstein, he said that success is just 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. And I think it was Alexander Graham Bell says that something he said Like success is a result of steady accretion over a period of time. Something like what it means is you have to really
Work hard.
Work hard.
Devoted.
Yeah. So you might often see in your life, your brother, sister. I mean, my sister, she's not the most smartest of ladies, but I've never seen anybody work as hard as her, and she will accomplish any task given to her. And in the end, I mean, she was a CPA. She came here and did her master's in computers, and she's really good at it because of hard work. So that's what Saturn does. Now let's go to Rahu. It says Rahu in Swamsa produces a bowman or a thief. He may earn by dacoity or by cheating, or may be capable of handling very poisonous and dangerous chemicals, medicines, or expert in metals manufacturing. So, if somebody is a good doctor or is a toxicologist, you will find the influence of Rahu on the Swamsa or trines to Swamsa. Or if he is good at handling big machines, Rahu is very important. Ketu shows small instruments. Rahu is the opposite.
Will computers come into Rahu?
The Ketu. Yes. I mean, Rahu is like an aeroplane. Like one of my friends was an Air Force engineer. So he has Rahu in trine.
But it actually shows so many things. But that part is a thief.
Yeah.
Could be.
Right, but you have to see the positive influences.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Never does the career based on this.
Yeah.
This is just an ability.
Yeah.
I may have natural ability for being a dacoit, but I'm not. Actually, I don't have Rahu. But assuming that I have Rahu in my Navamsa Lagna, I may have that ability, but I may not have.
It may not manifest itself.
Yeah. What you see in the Sansa is what you do. What you see in Navamsa is what you are capable of doing.
Yeah.
Naturally.
It could be framed as a good decoder of the thief.
This comes without training. The Sansa comes with training.
With training. So I hope things are clear. We are trying to basically, there is a pattern to this. The influence of planets on Navamsa Lagna. So it's very important that this can be, it's a very interesting and a very useful tool to at least rectify the Navamsa Lagna.
One question.
Yes.
When we see the Sri Lagna,
Yes.
progression of Sri Lagna in the chart,
Right.
which basically shows the blessings
Of Lakshmi.
of Lakshmi.
Right.
But basically, when you say blessings, they are coming from Pura Punya or however they are accumulated.
Right.
So, what is the difference between that and the Navamsa in this case?
Sri Lagna is one sensitive point based on the difference of angle, longitude between Lagna, Moon and all that.
Okay.
That's just one sensitive point. This is a Lagna which is mapped onto Navamsa. And we're just dealing with Lagna.
But will the result be the same like
Sri Lagna and Lagna are actually totally different.
Different.
So don't confuse me. He's teaching something different.
Right.
Sri Lagna is the abode of Lakshmi in the chart.
Right.
So
But that also shows the blessings that you got.
Right.
that's another aspect of blessings. When you say Lakshmi, she is what is giving you happiness, what is giving you the feel-good thing basically, the prosperity, the well-being. That blessing is basically where Lakshmi lives. That is Sri Lagna. But this blessing is the blessing that enables you to do various things. The blessing that enables you to do various karma.
Okay.
So this blessing is different. These are abilities. And that is the prosperity and well-being.
Okay.
I mean, everything I chart is a blessing, or not a blessing. Either way,
Either a
everything
blessing.
I chart.
Yeah.
And this is one more.
So going to the next, of course, we cannot miss out on Ketu. So he says that Ketu in Swamsa indicates one who will earn through elephants, or maybe a thief or a swindler. Now, earning through elephants is it's something that people used to do in the long time back. It's no longer relevant. But elephants were the modes of communication. So you can transportation. You can use transportation. A thief or a swindler. So once again, somebody who is very surreptitious. Ketu shows hiding. There are two planets. You have Mars, and Mars is also known as Guha, or the one who hides. Ketu is an extreme form of Mars, and one who hides. So, okay, can you just?
You need direction.
How do you pause?
Just
Yeah,
This
just
one.
the top button one.
This one.
Yeah. So let's. So I think we have finished all the 9 planets, and let's start by taking some examples. Let's take Narasimha's chart himself, and the birth details are April 4, 1970, 17:47, 13, 5 hours 30 minutes east. Place of birth is Machilipatnam. The longitudes are 81 east 08 and 16 north 10. So you can cast the Navamsa, and as you can see, can you tell me now using these principles? I mean, what can you infer?
Ketu and Sun are in trine. Sun
Okay.
also has Rahu.
Okay,
So it looks like administrative skills. He must have good administrative skills because of the presence of Sun.
right.
And Ketu gives, he said,
Computer
computer abilities and abilities to
Teaching,
small
lineage, right? The traditional thing, carrying on some
and
traditional.
spiritual knowledge.
Yeah. So the thing is, of course, Sun is in trine, and also Ketu, and plus you said you give benefit of the doubt. I mean, more importance to Sun because it's also aspecting. It makes sense. It does make sense.
Parivartana.
But Sun there is Parivar having an exchange with Saturn. So the Sun could also behave like Saturn. Especially that's a Saturn, you know.
That's why you are
Own house.
Yeah. So Saturn shows somebody who's
Perseverance.
one who works really hard
Really
and can be a traditionalist.
Yes.
He is a traditionalist, and he'll work hard and consequently get a lot of fame. So
Now,
that is one thing. Ketu,
Ketu,
yes,
apart from being just the characteristics of Ketu himself, he also now has the Rasidrishti of Venus, Moon, Mercury, Jupiter, and obviously Rahu.
right. But then what we want to focus on is
Just the Ketu.
Navamsa Lagna. You are
But
saying
thinking is right.
it is.
What kind of Ketu is it?
Right.
The Ketu aspect.
Because he said whether it is in Lagna or in trine.
Right, it is in trine.
It is in trine.
Right.
And anybody in that aspecting the planet in Lagna or aspecting the planet who is in trines also matters? No.
That is
No,
secondary.
that is
Secondary
secondary.
is the planets themselves.
Right. What happens is you have to take Lagna as a focus, as a reference, the main reference point, and look at the influence on it, either the aspect, the Rashi Drishti, or something that is on trines, in trines to it. Now, secondary is, now the behavior of Ketu is further modified by the aspect of other planets on it, but that is not what we are considering right now. We'll go at it step by step, but right now if you just see, Ketu is in trine. Ketu will give results of, a good knowledge about computers or small instruments. Thief, swindler.
Detective and tradition. Rahu is big thief and decoy and big
No, swindler is a real con man.
Con man.
Yeah, so
It's not a
he could be a big thief.
Right, but okay, let's.
I'm having fun there.
So
We'll find out from you.
So these are the things that you could gauge from his chart. Now,
Also from
Also, I
Karakamsa, right?
Forget the
Atmakara.
Yeah. I just want to make another point. When you see planets on both sides of Lagna, having Katri on Lagna, it is almost as if they are in Lagna. So you will have some impact of Mercury, Venus and Moon being in Lagna also.
yes. So as a result of Mercury, he is a good learner. As a result of Moon and Venus, now Moon and Venus, as you know, what does Moon and Venus?
Education.
One is luxuries
Education.
and educationist.
Education.
Educationist means anything relating to teaching and education. So he's a good teacher. Acharya.
Acharya Padam.
Yes. So this is how you.
Okay.
So with the help of this knowledge, you can actually rectify charts. Like for example, I do know that Sheshu, your son is very artistic, right? So what is the planet of art?
Venus?
Actually depends on what kind of art. fine arts is Venus. But if there are two levels of art. At the first level, just like a student, Mercury is good at copying. So if he's an artist who draws well, it's a combination of Mercury and Venus. Mercury likes to copy because an artist just copies what's given. And then Venus, typically, the creative part will come, and then he'll start, doing his own work and all that. So both Mercury and Venus. So if you were to look at your sun's chart again, then you should see the influence of these planets on his Navamsa Lagna. So can you take it?
Opening?
Yes. Yes. Is it open?
It's not in the history.
Okay.
Lagna is there's planets on both sides. You almost take it always there. Those
Kriya Lagna, those planets impact the Lagna sometimes even stronger than the planets in Lagna.
Right.
Yeah.
Planets have to be on both sides or only on one side?
Both sides. Both sides.
One side, no.
In fact, sage Satyacharya, in his book Satya Jatakam, gives lot of importance to Shubhakartari Yoga.
Put planets back within
The planets are similar planets.
Yes, similar.
One is benefic, it is less powerful. But
Yeah, then
both
it
are similar.
cancels itself. But if you have two benefics surrounding ascendant.
It's called Kakshya.
Okay, I see. Yeah, that's it. So yes. So also look at the Kartari Yoga, which is basically the influence on either side of the Lagna. So those planets will also manifest their characteristics on that person. Now, if you take this particular chart, the second chart under consideration, the date of birth is, the birth details are May 26, 1988, time of birth 7:27:54, time zone is 5 hours 30 minutes east of GMT, place of birth is Secunderabad, which is 78 east 30 and 17 north 27. So, I mean, if you look at the Navamsa Lagna you'll get is rising is Scorpio with Venus, Ketu and Jupiter on it or in it. And you have moon in trines. So one thing is you have the influence of Venus there. So that shows Venus by nature is a person. Venus also gives you the ability to be critical minded. He can read between the lines, or one who has a good eye. A person with a strong Venus or influence of Venus also has good visual memory. He can remember charts or figures and forms of all kinds. So Venus gives that influence.
Especially Venus in a watery sign gives a lot of creativity. Watery signs are very important for creativity. Earthy signs are very important for thinking and attention. And water is creation. So he is very creative.
Right. So, so just by this you can say that Venus, you have Venus there, and Ketu can give, one is spirituality.
Together.
Yes.
And Ketu together he
Spirituality.
And definitely spirituality. Also Jupiter and Venus is like a Dvi-Guru yoga. The two gurus sitting. It's also definitely a good yoga.
Let me ask you, this Guru Yoga, but they don't get along, so they actually cause a conflict in the head, or it's actually...
No, it depends on which sign it takes place, the conjunction takes place. Also,
Ketu acts as a mediator here.
yeah,
Venus is a friend, Jupiter is...
Then it's a parivartana here, right? Between
Jupiter and Mars. Yeah. So yes, you do have a parivartana, and even that has to be taken into consideration.
Because Mars is being in his own house.
So it's like, Jupiter will act like Mars, and so on and so forth. Yeah. Now, moon is also in trine. So you can see that moon being in trines can give the characteristics of moon. Moon can give somebody who's a good at teaching, educationist, somebody who has good at singing. It may or may not manifest, but that potential may exist.
Definitely he gives artistic ability.
Artistic ability.
Not necessarily creative ability. Venus is the creativity. Moon is the artistic ability.
The imagination.
Dancing, singing, all those abilities can be given by Moon. Classical ability.
Yeah, he does both dance and singing.
Especially Moon, again, Moon in a water sign.
Watery sign.
In a water sign. Particularly in water sign.
Right. Now,
It gives creative.
yes, yes,
Ability will be there.
right. So, and also, so you see, this is a very interesting chart. You also have the influence of exalted sun on the ascendant. So, somebody who is good at management, administration, somebody who is a keen social worker, you know, all those characteristics. And if you see this particular chart, you not only have the Kartari on the Lagna, but with Mars and Mercury, you have 3 planets in the Navamsa Lagna. You have influence of sun
Also in the Rashi and Moon in the fifth.
in trine. So you have,
Almost 5 plus 2, 7 planets.
barring Rahu and Saturn, you have almost all the influences on the Navamsa
Saturn
Lagna.
also has Rashi Dristy.
No, it
Yeah.
doesn't. No.
Not on the line.
On the Lagna.
On the Lagna,
Lagna.
how can a planet in Gemini aspect a planet in Scorpio?
How does sun have a influence on that?
And Mars.
Movable sign.
I was talking about Rahu.
Even Rahu, no Rashi Dristy.
No, Rahu, yeah. See, this is a fixed, Scorpio is a fixed sign. And the signs that aspect Scorpio are Capricorn, Aries, Cancer. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, if you need any clarification, let me know. So you see, almost 7 out of 9 planets are aspecting or having an influence on the Navamsa Lagna. So such people are usually very talented. Things,
There's a lot of it.
yes, things come very easily to them, effortlessly almost. And you know, they are usually gifted and talented. So this is, see, how your perspective of a chart changes just by a few slokas from Jaimini. And we just started. So this is very important.
And one thing is, do we count for Arudas in this case, or we ignore Arudas at this time?
No, right now we are not talking about any Arudas.
Not yet. It's an internal capability.
Yeah.
There's no manifestation.
Yeah.
This is not manifested.
Not manifestation.
So, but you have a very good point, and we'll talk about it later, because it's a very interesting point, because later on he says, Jaimini says that now what I have described from the Navamsa Lagna can also be seen from the Aruda Lagna. Interesting.
Fine. So we see a lot of abilities in the chart, right?
Yes. Inherent ability.
Yeah, inherent. So will there be any period in which this will manifest, or where and when do we know that this will?
During the periods of the planet. Yeah. Such a, you know, the talent will come forth and manifest.
Of course, you have the Mahadasa and Antardasa.
Right.
So the effect of Antardasa is when it triggers most of the time, because Mahadasa is too long a period.
Right. Yes, it is possible. Yes, the effect of Antardasa will modify the potential or bring forth the potential that is promised by the Mahadasa. Also important to see what yogas they participate in and to what extent it constitutes. Yeah.
And there is a special dasha to see when these abilities that are shown in the Navamsa will actually fructify physically. It's called Lagnamsaka dasha. It's available in the software, you can play with it, but we will do it more thoroughly later. For now, remember that there is a dasha. Inshotri may not be the best dasha. There is a dasha that works just for that purpose. So we'll do that later.
So when we see that we should see only when we are looking at Navamsa, or it's applicable to...
We will do more charts, but mainly for Navamsa. That is the Risa that shows when abilities fructify. Natural, inherent ability.
Like this also has Subhakasar Yoga, right?
Not really.
Not
Because
Neither Kartari, it's Kartari.
However, there is Parivartana, so Mars is acting like Jupiter.
right.
Then it becomes Subhakatsari.
Yes. Okay. That is the most important thing.
Is that a generic thing that whenever there is a parivartana, the planets will act like the other planets?
Right.
Generically.
Yes. It is safe to assume or very easy to assume. Otherwise it becomes very difficult to. But typically what happens is, it's like exchanging roles. You are in my house, I am in your house. You'll carry out the responsibilities while staying in that house, and I'll do your responsibilities while I'm here.
But practically, in many cases, we need some trigger to trigger that. until some time Mars will act as Mars. But there is some trigger that is needed when Mars will start acting like Jupiter, which is seen based on the Dasyas, Antardasas, etc. Typically that's what I find.
Like for example, let's say Jupiter and Mars are exchange houses, and let's say Jupiter Dasa is running. So typically the exchange will not take into effect until Jupiter Mars, the Mars Antardasa appears. Yes. And then after that, the Antardasa will start, the Parivartana will start.
How does this all get affected by your Tithi Pravesh chart? If in the Tithi Pravesh chart, if the Lagna or the Mahadasha of the Tithi Pravesh chart is also separate, correct?
Tithi Pravesh chart is basically for fine tuning. When you have a Dasa running or Antardasa running, typically, Tithi Pravesh charts allows you to fine tune and make a focused prediction. Our aim today, because you just got here, yes, what we've been doing for the past maybe 30-45 minutes is going over Jaimini's Upadesha Sutras. These are codified sutras which basically throws light on the specialization that he covered, mostly on Arudas, on Navamsa, and at least around 20 to 30 kinds of dasas. Mostly these are sign-based dasas. So that's what we were discussing, is how to use the Navamsa to understand the potential of a person.
More than even the Lagna.
Yes. Navamsa Lagna I'm talking about.
I mean, more than the Lagna chart.
Rashi chart.
I mean, more than the Rashi.
Yes. Because, yeah. So, do you want to take any other specific examples so that we can... Yes. Do you have any chart in mind?
Take my chart. Take anybody.
Actually, I have about 6 planets.
Okay, let's...
That's okay.
I have 4. I have 4 perfect hands in one.
No, it's Navamsa.
Okay, okay. Let's take the chart of Bill Gates.
Wow.
That way we'll not have too much argument.
No ability.
There's a drop of it. Okay. Let's before jumping, just one sec. Let me just read out the birth details. October 28, 1955. The rectified time we are using is 21:21:30. Time zone is 8 west of GMT, and the location is 122 west 20 and 47 north 36. So if you look at the Navamsa, it's Taurus rising with Jupiter in it and Sun in trines. So what does that tell you?
Officeering.
Good
Very.
Good administrative.
Sun shows good administration. Yes. Jupiter, what does Jupiter?
It should show a teacher kind of a thing.
Yeah, Jupiter can be a teacher, wise,
Yes.
or a person who is knowledgeable in many
Okay.
subjects
With depth in one.
and depth in one.
Depth in one.
So, Jami's exact statement, Jupiter gives you a broad knowledge,
Yes,
a jack of a lot of things,
right, and
and master of one.
yes. So that's like a killer combination.
Jack of all masters.
Yeah.
But this is when Jupiter is in the first?
No, Jupiter is in trine.
You're an ass.
Trines to Navamsa Lagna.
Will the
Or trying to
Khatri
Navamsa?
apply in this case?
No, we are just talking about Navamsa, no Rashi now.
Okay.
Will the Khatri apply in this case because we don't have anything on the other side?
No, there's no.
No Khatri.
There is a
Khatri,
Khatri from 4th and 10th.
Right? That's
You need 2 blades for this.
Fine. Khatri.
There is a Khatri from 4th and 10th.
Right.
That is also a Khatri. 5th and 9th is also a Khatri.
yeah.
Of 5th and 9th is a Khatri.
4th and
10th
10th.
Khatri, quadrant Khatri, and 10th.
4th and 10th is also Khatri. Because it's coming from the quadrant.
Right. So you do see a Khatri from 4 and 10, but typically if you see that way, then you'll have all sort of combinations.
Not necessarily always. So.
Yeah, but there's also a Khatri from 6 and 8, right? Yeah.
I mean, it's a matter of balancing on both sides.
Right. But the thing is, the
Khatri
primary.
from 4th and 10th is basically a Khatri that shows your efforts. And the Khatri from 5th and 9th is what shows your
Lakshmana and Yoshistana.
and the Khatri from 2nd and 12th. 2nd is the house of resources. And 12th is the house of
Giving.
giving. So using the resources. So it shows how you
Balance your
use
resources
surroundings.
and give.
Yeah.
So, if you look at this, the key planets are Jupiter and Sun. Of course, Mercury, Ketu, and Rahu are also there, but the main impact is going to be that of Jupiter and Sun. So he is a very good at administration. He has done very well so far. Jupiter once again makes him very knowledgeable, and he's got knowledge on wide variety of subjects. So not only is a good computer, he's good at marketing too. But typically, a person who is good at marketing
Should have
influence of Mercury.
Mercury.
So most important is that he's a good businessman.
But that is Mercury.
Yes.
Mercury is
So
and Moon are vice cats. They have good business.
right, but then Mercury is more important than Moon. Mercury. So this at least in his chart, Mercury from 4th, there is a Kartari on the Lagna.
Also Argala.
And an Argala.
Fourth house circle.
Yes.
But then only fourth house circle will only take effect when one of those dasas is running.
Right.
So it's not a continuous.
No.
influence.
No.
But will Argala also matter in this case, or we are only seeing the Rasi
No,
Drishti?
yeah.
Rajyushti is permanent. Argala comes with the Shasana.
That's right.
Right.
Yes.
So Argala also will trigger these things.
Right.
Argala, even Rajyushti will work,
Rajyushti,
but that is limited.
Right.
Okay.
Rajyushti is forever. Like diamonds are forever.
So, and the real good thing is Jupiter and Sun, and the main influence is that
Yeah.
Jupiter is
Especially Jupiter, because he is
in the Lagna.
Right.
And then
And that shows lot of wisdom, lot of perfect judgment. If Jupiter is in Navamsa Lagna, the person will make the right call, right judgment. Jupiter is the
with
judge,
respect to Dharma.
the disciple. Yeah.
Right.
Not necessarily Dharma. Making the right judgment is a natural ability that comes to him as a blessing from past Dharma.
But it's in every aspect of life.
In general, you can't generalize it. I mean, he can make mistakes, but in general,
I mean, just
yeah, good
saying,
judgment.
let's say in the one side is better in Lagna.
Yeah.
But in the Sun side is Rahu or Ketu.
Oh, forget it. This is general. In general, his abilities in all areas of life. Pope Benedict.
Now, if you look at the chart of
Actually, this is a speculative chart.
speculative chart, Pope John Paul.
My own explanation. Use John Paul.
Okay.
Shankaracharya. Those are, this is my explanation. This differs from what Astrodata data bank gives.
Right. So if you take a look at another chart now, a new chart, that of Pope John Paul II, who recently passed away.
He's a good businessman.
That is true. The birth.
You got a strong Mercury in there.
Yeah, you're right.
The chart we're using
Good
is
learner too.
yeah.
Good occult learner.
Okay. Let me just give the birth details. May 18, 1920, 1730. The time zone is 2 hours east of GMT. And the locations are 19 east 30 and 49 north 53. Okay, so you have a Scorpio rising once again, and Mercury in the Lagna. So you said that he's a good businessman. So I mean, at least he's running that
He has a tendency to manage the show from a business perspective.
business perspective. Yes.
Yeah.
Do we
That
get
can be-
Subhakatri here?
Yes.
Yes. So especially Jupiter, Venus, and Ketu involved. That means he is in spreading some tradition, parampara.
See, remember this, Jupiter and Ketu having impact on Navamsa Lagna. That shows somebody who is born to spread some kind of
Parampara tradition.
That is why Tejasvi also, when we saw the chart of your son,
Lagna.
he had Jupiter and Ketu and Venus, like just like this chart. But they are in Lagna directly instead of Katari. So he will also be involved in studying some kind of tradition. He will rise to a great position. That's some parampara.
And Jupiter.
Ketu and Jupiter. Ketu shows parampara and continuity, and Jupiter shows Vedic knowledge, or
wisdom.
traditional knowledge.
In fact, typically Ketu's Mula Trikona position is Pisces, and he is Matsya Avtara, which is,
Rescued the Vedas.
rescued the Vedas. So Ketu is rescuing knowledge or continuing the tradition of knowledge, parampara. So Ketu and Jupiter shows continuing the tradition, and here they have Kartari on the ascendant, on Navamsa Lagna. So that is very important. And also, we see Saturn in trine.
Correct. So very hardworking will rise to fame, discipline, tenacity, all this stuff.
Yes, a traditionalist.
Traditionalist. And fifth house moon, so he's a good teacher.
Yes.
Passion. And also compassionate person.
Compassion.
Compassion is also very
Pisces, water sign.
Moon is compassion. Moon is in water sign.
Watery sign.
So he's also creative.
Yeah.
Pisces.
We have good acting ability, like Moon and Mercury in trine. We have acting ability.
Sure.
Because the classical combination is Moon and Mercury in trine. That gives the acting ability. And you are an actor actually. Before you can pose.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He was an actor after he became Pope.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. So shall we continue, or do you want to take more examples? Okay, principle. Okay, continuing further. Now that he has given he starts off initially by attributing various characteristics to individual planets. Next, he continues and goes with combination of planets. How a combination of planets changes the influence or brings in new meanings. Yes, sir.
Probably can we do like one sutra, how it is decoded, kind of a thing.
That will be fun.
Huh?
That will be fun.
Okay.
Now, there's one sutra per planet that you when you gave the characteristics of each of the planet.
Right.
There's one sutra per planet.
Per planet. Yes.
Also in this book it's per planet?
Yes.
No, different chapters.
Different chapters.
Yeah, so each chapter is this.
No. The way it's divided is, or at least given is, you have one stanza talking about one planet, followed by another stanza talking about the other planet. So, but this is a very interesting book to have. It's a must read.
This in mind.
Okay. Alright, you want the breakdown, right? I'll take an example which is given here. That makes it easy. You want... Okay, like for example, the very first sloka, when he starts describing about planets and its effects on the Lagna, he talks about sun. He says that sun in Navamsa makes the native a keen government, all that stuff. And the particular Sanskrit sloka is given as Tatra Ravo Rajakaryapara. Okay, so Ravo is basically Ravi, and the grammar.
Ravi is there. If Ravi is there.
If Ravi. Okay. But here, what? I think here this is straightforward. But
there's no decoding.
Right.
But remember that Rajakarya Para, we are actually interpreting it as a big paragraph.
Right.
It's basically a couple of words that Jaimini uses.
What is the word again?
Rajakarya Para. Basically somebody engaged in
kingly role.
Like for example, one of the slokas says that if Aquarius Navamsa indicates construction of lakes, tanks, gardens, roads, and temples. So that for that particular stanza, the Sanskrit word he used is Tata Kadayo Dharme. So the word Dharme he has broken down into the, and ma. So the and ma. So it is 59
divided by
12, and the remainder is 11. So 11th sign is Aquarius. So that means he is talking about Aquarius, and Aquarius Navamsa indicates construction of lakes, tanks, gardens, roads, and temples.
This is Lagna. This is based on Rashi.
Right.
Not,
See, actually, all you know from the verse is in 11 or in Dharma, construction of what about those things?
Right.
Construction of not even temple, he doesn't say temple, Tatakaraya,
Yes.
ponds, etc.
Ponds.
That's all he's saying. And people are interpreting it to say ponds, temples, etc. Otherwise, this is people's interpretation. And secondly, when he said in Dharma, in Dharma means it could be 9th house. or after the interpretation it is 11. So it could be the 11th house or 11th sign, Aquarius. So there are so many possibilities. So this is the interpretation that Sanjay did based on Nilakantha and all other previous scholars.
According to Sanjay's interpretation, 11th house, which is the
11th sign.
11th sign, Aquarius.
If it falls in Aquarius, then
it's on.
and also he's not saying Navamsa.
Navamsa.
It could be Navamsa, it could be Vimshamsa, it could be some other Ansa, we don't know. So that is why relying on Jaimini for making predictions is very risky. But because there could be errors still.
Right.
But with Parasara it's much clearer.
I think, in temples, they always consult a font also in temples.
Yes. That is the motivation.
Yeah, right. That's it.
So let's continue. The next stanza, continuing forward, it says that Sun and Rahu joining Swamsa indicate death due to snake venom. Continue. In either that or in trying.
In any combination.
In any combination, it basically shows death due to snake venom. So typically, when if you ask me where to use it, you come across cases where you have somebody having a bitten by a snake or some kind of crawling reptile or.
Do you have any examples?
Yeah.
Do you have any examples?
I'm sure if you watch Discovery channels, you see many examples of.
No, but I wanted the chart of that one.
Okay, then that is your assignment.
See, if you get a chart, get the chart because
Yes.
it will be interesting.
Yes.
Because we don't know if this is a Navamsa Lagna, or Atmagarka, we don't know exactly what this is referring to. This is people's interpretation. So it will be nice to see examples.
Yeah.
If you know somebody who died because of it,
But this was interpreted at that time where maybe people were wandering in forests and jungles and snakes were biting people.
Right.
के ज़माने में how to interpret a snake venom,
Or any kind of poison.
Yes, drink.
First of all, it's not that right now there are no cases of people
No,
getting
I know.
bitten by snakes.
Correct, but
Then you have to look at the other meanings,
right,
if
right.
not possible. Like for example, in Australia, it's very prevalent that people get bitten by snakes and all that. Scorpions. So these things are also possible. Small kind of insects or reptiles. The other thing is venom is basically a poison in the body. So anybody consuming poison or to that effect is also applicable under this stanza.
maybe
Overdose, drug overdose. Like
Yeah. In fact, it is also used. This is a very good combination to see kind of drug addiction or
Rahu
yes.
in any house in the Navamsa.
No, always in trines or
Go ahead.
yes. Before we started, I just made a statement that these combinations should be seen either on the Navamsa Lagna or in trines to the Navamsa Lagna. So, yeah. Now, then he says that if such a combination is aspected by benefics, it may not happen. So benefit basically gives you a benefit, gives you relief,
The counteract.
counteracts it. So it is possible that either that particular incident might not happen, or even if it happens, there will be relief. See, because he then says that if the combination described is aspected or conjoined by benefit, the native is a doctor handling poisonous things, drugs and curing venoms. So,
Basically, the Alpha and Sun combination almost denotes venom.
venom.
Any other influence on that?
We'll say,
Like
whether
handling venom or something.
right.
Poison doctor.
The other, then he continues saying that, okay, he's given the combination of Sun and Rahu. Now what happens if Mars aspects or joins such a combination?
Kills sense to Sun, so it's actually anti-Rahu, so it should be better, anti-poison.
What he says is a person who will burn the houses of others.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Like an arsonist?
Arsonist, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Arsonist.
The question is that all this data, when Jaimini wrote it, must have based on some database he created. He must have modeled the whole thing.
Right.
Otherwise, how could he exactly say it's going to be an arsonist based on this?
No, see, they are Maharishis.
They've seen it.
And the sign of Maharishis is Pisces. The Pisces is also the 12th sign of the zodiac. The 12th sign is also the sign of Samadhi. You're going into that state. It's when they go into the state of Samadhi that they receive this knowledge. It's very pure, and it's not like, these are not like research based, and I'm just telling you based on my
Do we have
experience.
Jaimini chart?
Huh?
It's not given.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's coded somewhere.
So just so what will happen? So Mars gives the ability to burn houses.
They say, this is just slightly distracted from this topic. If you go into yoga state,
Right.
deep, you will get knowledge of, your previous birth and all that coming to you.
Right.
You can do it, but it's a discipline, strict discipline.
Right.
Yeah, at some point you will get knowledge of others also. You can go into your previous birth too, but you have to go deep into your yoga state, and it will tell you about you go backwards. You're like, if I am 50 years old, 49 like that one, and then it goes to my previous birth. They say, I've heard that you can realize what happened to your life like that. Yeah. Just
Not just your previous life,
Yeah.
previous life.
yeah, exactly.
All the knowledge
Yes.
about every being in the world
Yes.
is within you.
Yeah, that's
You
right.
just have to tap into.
Yeah.
Okay. Next, the following stanza is very interesting. So we covered with Sun and Rahu in the aspect of Mars, burning house of others. Okay. The aspect of Venus on such a combination,
Of Rahu and Sun.
and Mars maybe,
Oh.
may produce a firefighter. So when you see an ambulance, who signifies ambulance?
Mars, right?
Venus.
Oh, Venus. Yeah.
Venus is the firefighter.
Okay.
Venus is Shukra, is the cool
Oh, okay. Yeah.
water, the one who cools down everything. So when you're driving or when you're on the road, you're talking about something and you see an ambulance, you can get a nimitta or shakuna of Venus. So what did he say? Venus and water?
Venus shows water.
Jalatattva.
See the significance of rain, water.
Okay. He doesn't own any water sign.
He doesn't own what we find.
But he's
Already in a
Jalatattva.
water sign. He's already in a water sign.
I agree.
And out of all the 5 planets, the 5 main planets, apart from luminary, Mars will show 5, Mercury will show Earth, Jupiter shows Akasha, ether, Venus shows Jala, water, put it really go, Saturn shows air.
Do these things only kind of manifest maybe when the planet is in the rocky chart when it's near the exaltation point? And it'll show anyway.
Right. So, the one thought I want to add is what Narayan said is, in the Navamsa Lagna, various planets are there. One will be an arsonist or firefighter, etc. But you can use these in horary astrology, in Prasna. Yeah, you can see there. You can see directly in the Rashi chart who's influencing the Lagna. So you can use this knowledge in Prasna. We'll see that later. But keep that in mind. You see, 2 things I want you to keep in mind. One is this knowledge is kind of speculative. Even though Jaimini is a great Maharishi, he purposely quoted the knowledge. And all the decoding that great scholars have done may still be imperfect. So unlike Parasara's teachings, you have to be very careful with Jaimini's teachings. When you don't, just because you see Sun and Rahu in Lagna, Sun, Mars and Rahu in Lagna, don't say that he is an arsonist. That may be too simplistic. But especially because Navamsa is a chart that shows abilities. And just because the chart of abilities has certain planets, it doesn't mean you are an arsonist. Maybe there is such an ability. We don't completely understand Jaimini's teachings. So be very careful. Don't jump to conclusions with Jaimini, unlike with Parasara. And second thing is, try to see if they have other applications like Prajna or the astrology.
Yeah.
Was Parasara written before Jaimini?
Yes.
That's what people believe, slightly before.
And why is he more concise and authoritative than Jaimini?
It's not like Jaimini is not authoritative. Jaimini just decided to encrypt everything because he wanted to make sure it is not touched by the by people who are corrupt-minded, or at least he wanted to make as we discussed, he wanted them to work hard. So that was the reason.
Maybe what Parasara thought is very general, but what Jaimini thought is so specific and so powerful that he didn't want it to fall in bad hands. Maybe.
And also, there is a side note associated with Venus as a firefighter is the deity Mahalakshmi also holds the Agni Stambhana mantra. So he or the one who reduces the fire or the effect of fire. And it typically, even in I think Ayurveda or something, I'm digressing here a bit, but if you eat spicy food, you typically take buttermilk or something. So yogurt. So yogurt or dahi or dadi, it's called in Sanskrit, is signified by Venus. So and the next stanza is even more interesting. It gets more and more interesting. It says that Jupiter aspecting the fire hazard combination indicates one who will set fire to his own house.
This is no Venus, just Jupiter.
Yes, instead of
So basically Rahu, Sun and Mars and
yes,
Jupiter.
aspected by Jupiter, will show basically somebody who sets fire to his own house. There are so many people, but
a lot of mills here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Insurance couple.
It is interesting that Jupiter actually aspecting would cause it.
Yeah, it's supposed to. I always read it as a benefit, right? I mean, not a, it does good deeds.
Well,
Deconstruction is the good deed.
actually Jupiter is very expansive. He likes to spread. So in the combination, when you're talking about setting fire, he's like a conflagration. Just expands. And
burning your own house is not expensive.
you're talking about the quantity of fire.
The
fire spreading.
The more fire.
Yeah.
I'd be a random arsonist who I'd go and light up 10 houses. There'd be more fire in place lighting up my house.
Right, but the thing is, Jupiter is something which shows the self. It's the person.
Even with Jupiter is judgment, wisdom.
Right.
And if wisdom comes into an arsonist said, everything will counteract.
So obviously the effect of these the combination of Rahu and all has impaired the judgment.
Well, I mean, then whether Jupiter is there or not, it should be worse.
Jupiter is
coming
there.
in. Why
Jupiter is
coming in?
Can it also mean like cleansing? Jupiter by fire, cleansing by fire. I don't know.
No, here the translation says
Actually,
that.
can you read the exact stanza?
Okay.
Then people will understand the difficulty of translating.
Okay. The stanza says the stanza says Guru Drishte Swasa Nipa Gruhat. So Guru Drishte Swasa Nipa Gruhat. It doesn't make
Doesn't make any sense. That is very subtitle.
Okay.
Translation different.
Okay.
Because Guru is not always the benefit, right? Because there are combinations where he can be the person killing for cause of death.
In this case, it's being defined.
The Guru is Maheshwara. If you look at various gods, Jupiter or Guru shows Shiva. Shiva is the greatest Guru, and he is the ultimate destroyer of the whole world. Because it is all Maya.
Yeah.
Just remove the wheel of illusion, which is basically complete destruction. That is given by Guru, Shiva. So don't think that Jupiter will give you money, nice sofas, nice TV. That's not Jupiter, that's real.
The next stanza says that if Saturn and Rahu are in Swansa, the native is either a seller or consumer of betel leaves or some kind of aphrodisiacs.
Who is it again?
Saturn and Rahu.
Rahu.
Yeah. So
Could be
any
drugs also. Could be drugs.
drugs. So any drugs, once again,
Alcohol.
alcohol, Saturn and Rahu will play an important role.
Addictive substances basically.
Moon in the fourth from Navamsa produces a sailor. So Moon has, in fact he goes further and says the aspect of Venus will surely, on Moon in fourth, will surely produce a sailor, navigator. And then there is a footnote saying that vehicles are seen in the fourth houses, and a watery planet like Moon could indicate ships and boats depending upon its dignity. And the aspect of Venus, who is a natural significator of vehicles, confirms this. So, but I have seen, my father is a sailor, I have seen the aspect of Moon on Venus, on the fourth from Navamsa.
What did your father have in the fourth house? Do you have
Moon.
Moon in the fourth?
Yeah.
And is there an aspect of Venus?
There is no aspect of Venus, but it is in the sign of Venus.
Evolution sign.
Yes. Okay. The next stanza states that Gulika and Swamsa makes native consume poison or poison others.
Gulika and Swarm.
Yeah.
Extend.
Yeah.
Trying.
So Gulika or Saturn, Rahu, these have a tendency to, consume poison, drugs, or anything that is kind of addictive or harmful to the body.
What is the exact meaning of Gulika and Mani? Explain it briefly.
Narasimha. Okay. There is still some contention. Some scholars still say that Gulika and Mandi are one and the same. In fact, you will find many of the traditional texts like Uttar Kalamrika and saying that there is only one. But Gulika or Mandi, we'll just take that as an entity. It's son of Saturn. Yes, and it shows the sins or the misdeeds that are performed.
Son of Saturn.
Son of Saturn. Yes, the sun as in SON. Because we tend to get Sun, Saturn, Sun. So the Saturn is the son of Sun.
Correct. Right.
So
Right. Gulika and Mani are the son, SON of Saturn.
Yeah, son of Saturn, and they typically represent some kind of sin, misdeeds that are performed. Or it can either be something that the world heaps on you, as is, you take the torture, or the torture that you do to others.
One is that, one is the other. Gulika is supposed to be.
No.
Poison giver, poison taker.
The poison giver, poison taker. But there is nothing confirmatory about
Who is that?
or if both of
Somebody
them.
has Gulika and Mani in the first house.
Right.
It's not a bad, it's not a good combination.
It's not a good combination.
Typically, it shows health problems.
You get some poison, you give
A lot of
poison.
toxins in the body.
Yeah.
A lot of toxins in the body.
Yeah, not a good combination.
No, is this previous birth? Did the misdeeds in the previous birth? Is
The
that
Rasi, if you look in the Rasi,
the misdeeds due to previous birth? Is that what it means?
On the previous birth, or the this birth,
Oh.
basically the misdeeds that you do and the suffering that you get because of it.
Okay.
The suffering which you put on others.
Or on
Comes
a
back to you to strike you. One of them shows what you do to others, the other one shows what others do to you. That is what Sajjadi teaches, and some astrologers say that they are actually one and the same.
So there is no remedy for that.
Don't do misdeeds.
No.
But if it's in your chart and it's in
Okay.
your first house, what are you supposed to do? Is there anything you can do to nullify?
I mean, there must be some kind of remedial measures. We cannot give a generic statement, blanket
You have to
statement.
look at various planets.
Planets.
In general, if you worship the dispositor of the house where they are, that can be helpful. For example, let's say Lagna is in Scorpio and Mandi and Gulika are in Scorpio, and pray to Mars or pray to Subramanya. That can be very good. But again, it depends on whether Mars is a good child or not.
If it is in Leo, then sun.
Take the sun.
Shiva.
Oh, okay. But that's just one aspect. I mean, the trouble could come from any quarters. So we have to make a thorough analysis of judgment of the chart, and then prescribed only. So moving forward, there are, as Narasimha said, there are certain stanzas here which may not be applicable for a natal chart, but may make sense in horary astrology. So like something like a moon aspecting Gulika or joining Gulika indicates receipt of stolen wealth. Receiving stolen wealth. So sometimes, let's say, somebody asks a question, will I get any wealth or some, and I'm trying to search for something, some wealth.
Look for Gulika.
Yeah, you see, and if the Navamsa Lagna or the Lagna has an influence of moon and Gulika, then you can give an answer. Now, the next stanza states that Mercury,
Go ahead.
yeah, Mercury aspecting or joining Gulika indicates hydrocele and similar disease of the private parts.
What's it?
Mercury and Gulika shows disease of the private parts. This is once again used in medical astrology. So the combinations given by Jaimini are not just restricted on your personalities or characteristics or features, but as you have seen, it's very broad based and can be used anywhere, including horary astrology, medical astrology. Now, the next stanza says that Ketu aspecting the Swamsa or conjoining Swamsa results in perforation of eardrums and or other ear ailments. Ketu.
Yes, anyway, aspecting.
Yeah. Yes. But I don't think. Yes.
So many times
Right. But Ketu, so you have to look at some other some other malefic influences which which fortifies this indication. Like the third house is for hearing. The ninth to the third is basically the 11th house is the dharma of the ears or hearing. So if malefics are in the 11th house, the person may have problems hearing. So if you see a combination of the affliction to the 11th house in Rashi chart, and maybe Ketu is aspecting or afflicting the ascendant, Navamsa Lagna, then you can make a judgment.
Everybody follow that. That's a very important point. Eyes are shown by the second house, but vision, that is not shown by the second house. That is shown by the ninth from the second. Because vision is the dharma of the physical eyes. Physical eyes are from the second house, but the dharma, which is vision, the ability to see, that is from the 10th house. Similarly, ears are from which house?
Third house.
Ears are from third house. So hearing, which is a dharma, the duty that they do, that is from the ninth from there, which is 11. So like that, for every organ, the organ is shown by a house, and this dharma, what it does, its functionality, is from the ninth from there. That's a very important point.
The next stanza is also very important. And in continuation to the point you said, Parasara in fact adds that malefic should join or aspect the combination of Ketu aspecting the Navamsa Lagna. So, yes, you should see the affliction of the 11th house and also influence of malefics along with Ketu. The next stanza is very interesting. It says Venus conjoining or aspecting Ketu, in Swamsa produces asceticism and religious leanings. He may be initiated into a religious order.
That is, which one?
Venus and Ketu. I think it was obvious in Pope John Paul's chart.
Even his son.
Yeah, even in yours, but at least,
Jupiter, Venus, Ketu are in your Lagna.
it has manifested in Pope John Paul's.
Even in his son's case, more or less.
Oh, really?
Endless path.
Okay.
On the path, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but Venus also, Venus, Ketu, and Saturn also give Tapas you right?
Yes, that is another combination.
There is a link between.
Yes. And the next is both Mercury and Saturn conjoining or aspecting Ketu in Swamsa indicates impotency.
Mercury and Saturn
aspecting Ketu. We know why Mercury and Saturn
actually give you problems.
eunuchs,
Yeah.
eunuch planets, and so they are cause of impotency. In fact, there is another, and this is also used in Saptamsa. In fact, if Mercury, Saturn, or even Venus is in trines to Navamsa, Saptamsa Lagna, then that causes the person is childless or is unable to have child.
This is
All three
Mercury.
have to be at 3 spots, or say if one was only sitting in Saturn was in the first house and not the other, then it won't apply?
At least 2 should be present. 2.
For it to activate.
Right.
All the 3 then definitely will be there.
Right.
2, it is likely to be there.
Likely.
And
1, no. Not really.
And
But look at the trines.
aspecting Rahu Ketu makes that very much happen. I think.
No, he's saying in Saptam.
Rahu Ketu involved in making that.
No.
Which one are you talking about?
The child.
Saptamsa or Navamsa?
Combination of the Vivek planet and any of those.
Oh yes, Ketu's influence.
Ketu's influence makes it happen.
Yes.
Madam, can you repeat that rule, the counter rule?
Mercury and Venus aspecting Ketu. No, I'm sorry. Mercury and Saturn conjoining or aspecting Ketu indicates impotency.
No, the childlessness.
If in D7?
Yes, explain.
If in D7.
In D7.
Yeah.
Stanza.
Yeah.
And the same again in that Lagna, it can be the trines and the aspect.
Yeah. Trines and aspects.
In D7, okay.
When you say aspect, you say
Rashi Drishti.
Okay.
7,
No, Rashi Drishti.
Rashi.
Sign-based aspects. Okay, both Mercury and Venus aspecting Ketu indicates a mimic, somebody who mimes. Mercury, so Mercury and Ketu, mimic. Or a talkative person, or one who is born to a maidservant or a concubine.
This is Mercury and Ketu.
Yes.
And I thought you also talked about Mercury and Ketu having even problems with the private parts.
Private parts, yes.
All these combinations are all there.
There are potential for these things to happen. You have to look into other aspects and confirm.
But the basic the same combination can trigger all these.
Right. Yeah, but yes, if then we look at the Shashtamsa and then, the other relevant Varga charts to confirm where exactly it will take effect.
I've done work
On,
the elliptical cycles,
right?
and when the conjoining of a planetary elliptical cycle conjoins with the node,
Okay.
that is the limit of the cycle, and that's the Litsky event. Geometrically, so you have an algorithm that makes an elliptical cycle,
Right.
okay, and when the moon's node hits the limit of that elliptical cycle, then the event happens.
Okay.
I've done mathematical work on
Looking at the tangent, you mean geometrically?
geometric.
Yeah.
So
Tangent, okay.
so when you have I started these on conjunction cycles, and I've worked particularly with the elliptical cycle of Mercury with the larger planets. I've created two-sided ellipses, and when the node hits, the event will penetrate that ellipse only at that point. Every time the moon's nodes come, it hits the top of the ellipse only at that time.
So you're talking about conjoining. So the ellipse, the bigger ellipse is the path of the Mercury.
No. There's two ellipses. One ellipse is the ellipse limit cycle of.
I lost the ellipse of what? What is that motion? Who is traveling around there along the ellipse?
This is an algorithm, okay?
Okay.
And this contains an event, and then you have a bigger ellipse which contains another event. And both of these things are started with the conjunction of Mercury with either Saturn or Jupiter. And so then this will be timed, okay?
Okay.
And then you have one small ellipse and then for the Jupiter, and then one bigger ellipse for Mercury.
Right.
For Saturn. And the event will fructify at the ellipse limit of this algorithm it'll hit, the event will happen
Right.
only at the time when the moon's node actually hits the plane of the vernal equinox, which I've justified to be this plane.
Right.
Because we have to have a plane that something's going to happen on. And the plane of the vernal equinox is the Earth's plane rectified for when it hits 0 degrees Aries. Okay? And it's also the plane of the sun. So you have a conjoining of the plane of the sun with the plane of when the sun goes through 0 degrees Aries, and that plane is continuous.
Right.
So then this forms that ellipse cycle. Now the event, okay, will only happen on the day that the moon's node conjoins the ellipse cycle, and then the event will happen on this date when that vector actually penetrates that ellipse.
Oh, very interesting.
Isn't that interesting, right?
Very interesting.
Yeah. And so the node is the plane of the moon with the Earth, and it's only when the moon's node intersects the plane of the vernal equinox that the event fructifies.
Okay.
We'll be very interested in knowing how you construct this ellipse based on the connection with various planets.
Yes, and
It'll be very interesting.
And this is an algorithm, and you will only see that event happen, boom, on that day, only on that day.
It's very interesting. We would love to,
It happens, okay?
we would love to get more details.
This is the projection of the dashas, and you have certain algorithms that go on, and then the penetration when it hits that. That's the confluence of the two planes, and then the event escapes into the plane of the vernal equinox, which is this plane. And so we can only we have the dashas, okay, and the dash we're like in a musical crystal, and all of a sudden as you rotate the diamond, okay, you can only see pieces of light coming out. The pieces of light are projections when everything lines up, okay. And things can only line up on this plane of the vernal equinox, okay, which is the plane that I've set these ellipses on. And when the moon's node hits that vernal equinoctial plane, then you see the light in this plane. Okay, it's already happening in another plane, in time, but it happens in this plane only when it gets released, and then it happens.
What kind of events have you tracked using this strategy of seeing technique?
There's only one line of events that's sequential, and that's the stock market.
Okay.
And so you can go along and you can put the musical prices down here, and because that's very followable, you actually know that the price is here at this date perfectly, and it happens every time.
Oh.
Cool.
Fine. I should play the stock market based on more detail.
but on that conjoining, if you graph this thing, it has to be graphed logarithmically, because if it's not graphed logarithmically, you're not in the musical scale, okay? So when you correct the graph logarithmically and then you have the elliptical cycles, you will see it happens then perfectly every time. But you have to graph this thing for the synodic cycles of the planets. Only the synodic cycles. If it's on another cycle, and you can, what you do is let's say that Venus is going to conjoin with the vernal equinox. Okay, you can see different movements here, and it only penetrates the cycle when the moon's node is involved, right here. But when Venus or when Mercury hits the vernal equinoctial, it'll hit the ellipse limit. And when the moon's node is involved, it penetrates the ellipse. It actually penetrates through the ellipse.
So you can't really predict the stock market every day, but you can predict on particular days.
Perfectly.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
For a particular stock or the whole stock market, the Dow? Can you track a particular star?
Typically not at all.
You have to set these ellipses. The ellipses have to be set at certain angles, and the angles you're setting them, after it's actually gone a few weeks, you set those parameters because it's going to hit the ellipse limits. And so, for every single stock, you've got a certain slope of the ellipses.
Right.
But because we don't know the start date or how to rectify it very well, you have to set the ellipses according to where it's going to hit inside here, and then after it's set, then it's perfect. And then you have this point coming up, and if you have the synodic cycles, and it'll only penetrate when it goes through the moon's node, and when it hits another planet, it will hit the equation at the limits perfectly on that day perfectly. Every time you can plot it perfectly.
It's interesting that you talk about stocks because next week I said that I will be in Pennsylvania at Ashwinja Gurukrpa. I will be talking about financial astrology as well, timing the stock market, etc. But using different techniques.
The prediction of people is a very great blessing. But in order to see the algorithm of what the event's happening, the music of the stock market allows continuous prediction because you can actually see what's happening. And so in order to use astrology in a more predictive way, the stock market's the only thing that's allowing you all the events happening to be able to fit into the sequencing you need to see it. And you can perfect the dashas and you can perfect all of the systems based upon mainly astrology more than people.
Now, how frequently do you actually map these the stock market value? Do it every day, every week? What is the number of the How fine is it evolution? And the event happens.
You can see the event typically once every few weeks or once a month.
Once a month.
Now, there's some kind of a geometrical vector that can be plotted here, some kind of a Pythagorean triangle that I'm understanding even more that will allow you to resolve this onto here so you can see everything here. What we're having is this is a shadow right here, and if you can see my hand, okay, the shadow only will resolve when it actually comes right here. It's off the shadow right here. You see the end of my pencil here?
Right. The shadow has to intersect the edge of the ellipse, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's when the event happens. But that's every 2 or 3 weeks
see
is
that?
when it happens.
See this right here? This is what we're seeing right there. Yeah. Because we're seeing it in another dimension.
Right.
And the ellipses are dimension of the dasa.
The ellipses are planes of the vernal equinox. What I think the ancient astrologers did is they used astrolabes to basically rectify the planets onto the plane of the vernal equinox. And I think modern astrology and all of these positions of these planets need to be modified according to the position on the vernal equinox. This is my own thesis. I've never heard this, but this is what I think needs to happen. Does that make sense?
I have to think about it.
But we need to try to get all the secrets out so that basically astrology becomes perfectly predicted. And the plane of all these different horoscopes needs to be altered so that it's not perfect in space where you're seeing this, but actually perfect on a plane. And that plane of the vernal equinox is the only plane that's actually relevant to our plane. And so when I correct the position of the planets using the astrolabes. I try to correct some of the points, and then I use synodic cycles over it.
Even in India, actually, there are some astrologers who make minor corrections to the planetary position.
With astrolabes?
I'm not sure because their algorithms are secretive, but they make minor modifications to the actual positions of the planets, which are three-dimensional. So not exactly three-dimensional. And they must be, I don't know what kind of transformation they do, but it could be similar to what you are talking about.
Hipparchus invented the astrolabe, and Hipparchus is credited with really showing how planets influence us. That's one of the statements that Hippocrates says about him. The astrologers of the day says, you've now really shown us how the planets influence our lives. And what he did was he corrected the planets for the plane. And the plane of the astrolabe is the plane of the vernal equinox. And so you make these little corrections.
That's interesting.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
So, this has been the fruition of 15 years of work.
Wow.
So, I'd love to.
And I would love to get more details about you, how you construct that ellipse.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting.
And the planets will hit the ellipse limit, and then when they hit Rahu Ketu, then they penetrate through the ellipse.
I would love to get more details from you on the exact algorithm for constructing it.
Yeah.
And the algorithm that I use is based on Kartika Sukha Pratipada, the day after Diwali chart, when Sun and Moon conjoin in Libra, and we use that for predicting the financial market
I know that. Yeah.
next 1 year. And I use a Dasha card, Tribhadi Vimshotri Dasha, and I use Sarvadopadi Chakra and transits in it to see when markets will be up and when markets will be down. But my resolution is like these 2 weeks are good, next 3 weeks are bad, like that. And within these 2 weeks which are bad, Moon is having Vedha on the Dasha sign. So these 2.5 days may be actually better, like that. I don't have resolution up to hours or day, but usually a few days. So,
Yes.
okay, I'll get more details from you later. Let Narayan continue.
I don't know how long we have to continue, but you did.
Maybe I'm the 5 minutes.
Sure. But is there any reason why you opened Lalu Prasad Yadav's card?
Why did you have to say the name, man?
Oh.
This is for,
If you didn't say the name,
We're talking about Maharishi, right? But we're talking about,
he was talking about Gulka's aspect of Gulka. I didn't want it to go on record, so maybe we could have done it anonymously, but now because you said it, we'll leave the chart. I just wanted to check whether Gulka was aspecting Moon.
Okay.
And so if you remember what the reading is,
Yes.
correlate later.
Okay.
Let's move on.
Okay.
Gulika and Mandi also aspect like planet.
Yeah, just like Gulika is in some house, and
So it will aspect.
See, here Gulika is in Aries, Navamsa, and Aries aspects Scorpio. So Gulika aspects Scorpio. Yeah, there forever. Rajadrishti
But
there
not
forever.
the.
Not the 7, 4,
No, not that.
No.
But the Rashi aspect.
Rashi aspect is there for even the
Maharishi is also.
For me? Yeah, but Gulika is what Parasara says, Jaimini says. So if he aspects, then there is a particular combination that Narayan taught you. Go and verify later and see if it applies to the Prasad Yadav.
okay. Okay. Continue.
Our beloved Chief Minister of Bihar.
no, that is the railway minister. He's
Oh,
island.
he's railway minister.
His wife is.
Okay. Continuing further, the next stanza states that Saturn aspecting Venus and Ketu produces a tapasvi, or one who undertakes powerful penances, or one who's a combination of somebody who works hard, who's passionate, and who is kind of headless in his approach, and nothing can stop him. Detached. Yes.
Yeah, what is Gulka and Moon combination? I just forgot.
Next week.
No, he just gave.
Hidden wealth.
Hidden wealth.
Yeah, receipt of stolen wealth or stolen wealth. Yes.
This is for what? Saturn aspecting Ketu and Venus.
No.
Now, Saturn aspecting Venus and Ketu makes one a tapasvi.
In the Navamsa.
Yes.
And aspect is the third aspect, 10th. and
No, only Rashi.
Only Rashi aspect.
No, here we are not going to touch, because the aspect of planets that you are talking about only gives the desire, doesn't give any permanent effect. If Saturn alone aspects Ketu and Navamsa, that means without Venus, then indicates a native who is just a fraud. Because a fraud is one who's not sincere, who's not passionate about what he does. He just goes about. So you need to have the passion and the drive of Venus.
Saturn aspecting Ketu.
So the three main important planets are Saturn, Venus, and Ketu. In order to form a Tapasvi Yoga, you have to understand how each one contributes to the Tapasvi Yoga. So Saturn produces the hard work. Venus, the drive, the passion, and Ketu, the detachment. So you have Saturn, Venus, and Ketu and it will give that Tapasvi yoga. Interestingly, even Pope John Paul has it. Not exactly though.
Not exactly. But yeah,
Well, but both Cancer and Libra are called Paraspara Karaka signs. So there is a combination
Ketu and Venus, Saturn is also there.
in Cancer.
Look at 3 of
So when one component of such a combination, if it's missing, like if Venus is missing, then the person is just a fraud, because he doesn't have the passion to go on. He just quit any time. He'll be fluctuating, vacillating. Yes, that's correct. If the next stanza is, if the Sun and Venus aspect and conjunct the Karakamsa, then royal assignment is surely indicated. So I think this could be used to see a cabinet minister, somebody who's
Powerful position.
yes, royal, connected to a government or some kind of yeah.
The Sun gives you that administrative, but Venus also gives you management.
Yes.
Comfort and so.
Right. Mercury conjoining, aspecting the 10th from Swamsa, indicates results like Saturn. So Mercury also gives success. Aspecting the Swamsa or the 10th from it.
Mercury either in Navamsa or 10th from it.
And or Mercury conjoining, aspecting the 10th from Swamsa indicates results like Saturn.
This business growth is, that is wealth.
No, it's like something like Saturn. What Saturn is?
Hard work and acting.
Yes, success.
Fame.
Then beneficial aspects produces stable fortunes on the 10th house from Swamsa. And malefics causes fluctuation. Then there are certain, like for example, Sun in the 10th from Karakamsa, aspected by Jupiter, produces a milkman or one associated with animal husbandry.
Sun and Jupiter.
Yes,
10th from Karakamsa.
right.
It's a very suspicious combination because Karakamsa is basically soul.
Soul, yes.
And how can milkman, etc., this can be given from soul?
Right.
Very
From the
suspicious.
soul, I mean,
I'll be
the
very
desire of the soul needs to be the Sun driving the desire of the soul in the
Right.
work environment.
What is the exact words?
Yes.
Gopala. See, yeah.
Because he's feeding Ganesha. No. He's feeding milk to Ganesha.
10th house.
Yeah.
No, Sun and Jupiter combination.
Yeah. I mean, the word is maybe being interpreted too literally.
Right.
There may be more subtle interpretations needed.
But typically,
It's not, Gopala is not encoded.
no, it's not. But the way I go about it is, not all of them are really. I mean, you cannot take everything verbatim. Literally, yes. So you take it, you take those stanzas which make sense, and you analyze it in charts and make sure whichever makes sense, and use it consistently. So for
pretty determined, very conclusive statements about combination.
I beg your pardon?
Jamming,
Right.
Jaimini, very conclusive statements about just combinations given certain.
Right. Yes.
To the point where you can say it's a milkman, this is very precise.
But these are the thing is, once again, I would not pay, give a lot of weightage to this particular star.
Actually, Gopala does not really mean milkman. What Gopala means is one who takes care of cows. It could be a cow herd. It could be somebody who keeps purity and dharma. Because cow can symbolize purity and dharma. So somebody who takes care of dharma, who takes care of purity. There could be so many levels of interpretation.
Which makes more sense because Sun and Jupiter are Karaka of the 9th house.
And they are in the 10th house of karma. So yeah, I'm sure many of the Jaimini Sutras need a lot of detailed interpretation. And lot of great scholars like Nilakantha, Iranganti Rangacharya, I like his interpretation a lot. He's a great scholar. He's the only scholar in this century who commented on Jaimini in Sanskrit. He gave a Sanskrit commentary, like in the old days. And then he gave English translation also. So he's a great commentator. Sanjayji is an expert. He's my guru. He's a great commentator. Nilakantha is the original commentator. He's a great commentator. There are so many commentators. But I'm not sure if all of them have really explored it to the fullest. So keep that in mind. Be open-minded.
Yeah, and typically this Jaimini's Upadesha Sutra, at least the first couple of chapters, are best understood when typically when you're having a discussion where you can have multiple meanings and then make sense of what exactly is the correct meaning. It becomes because when you talk to somebody or when you have an intelligent discussion, you tend to basically spark the fire in each other and kind of bring the best. So, like for example, I try and discuss it with Sanjay Prabhakaran, a good friend of mine. Maybe yes, because it becomes very yes.
What is is there any way to remember what means what combination means what?
It's only
we have gone through some 20 different combinations and
right. It's only through practice and looking at charts that you automatically keep these things in mind. And of course, somehow these things do make sense. Like you understand Saturn is for hard work and Venus for passion, so you know what Tapasi Yoga is. So that's the only way. Okay, I think we'll stop here. So I think we've gone up till stanza 1.2.41, and I think next week you can continue from where you left, or you can continue with this, whatever is okay with you. So thank you, and thank you very much.
So then now I'm starting the new year.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.